what's your thought about what the president and the Republican Party is doing right now in terms of the incredible array of lawsuits, sort of attacking it at many different levels, right? Like filing to make sure the DOJ filing a statement of interest in Alabama to make it harder to vote by mail, and then you have to have like 2 signatories. And then the campaign getting involved in Texas to make sure that people can't vote by mail if they're scared of the virus. And then in Montana, and then trying to stop drop boxes in Pennsylvania. It is remarkable how much effort they're putting into this.
They have said it. I mean, Donald Trump said it himself, and Republicans have echoed it. If every person in America who's entitled to vote casts a ballot, they are desperately afraid that they will lose. That's not a function of democracy not working. In fact, they're afraid that democracy will work. And that's why it's so critical that we push back. This isn't about Democrats or Republicans. This is about the fundamental process we have as a nation for choosing our leaders. And when you break that machinery, you break it for everyone. Unfortunately, Republicans refuse to see any other path forward, like actually supporting access to health care, supporting the rights of unions, supporting communities that are trying to grow, supporting really dealing with the racial reckoning in our country. And instead, they're using a tactic that unfortunately has worked for many parties in the past. And that is when you can't win, you block the people you don't like from casting their ballots and being heard.
There's been a lot of concern about mail-in voting and voting in person. Interestingly, Zeke Emanuel, who's a healthcare expert and had worked in the Obama administration, recently saying, look, if you go earlier, if you have a polling place that's not crowded or it's managed well with people lining up outside, like there's public health reasons I think like voting in person can be done about as safely as going to a grocery store on the relatively low risk of side things. I mean, what message do you think Democrats or just any politician should be sending to voters about how to go about the voting process this fall?
We say don't panic, make a plan, and make it early. If you have the ability to vote by mail, use it. In part because it is the safest and most accessible way to vote. And there are multiple ways to return your ballot. You can return it through a drop box. You can return it directly through the U.S. Postal Service. You can take it to your polling place to your county elections office. But voting by mail not only protects the voter, it protects voters who don't have a choice about being in line. Number 2, vote early. Right. If you vote early, you have the opportunity to be in shorter lines. And then if you must, vote in person on Election Day. But the reality is, unfortunately, Dr. Emanuel presumes, or I don't think he presumes this, but we have to recognize that in places like Georgia, in Nevada, in Kentucky, in Wisconsin, we have seen hours-long lines, 8 hours.
Right.
It's hard to maintain social distancing. It's hard to maintain your sanity when you have to stand in line for 8 hours in overcrowded spaces to cast your ballot.